Hey, welcome to Old Ass Movie Reviews. I'm Scott. There's Dave over here. I do it every time. We are continuing our travels through gangster land with the, I forgot what year this was, but Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas. Man, this is a classic. Ray Liotta, Paul Sorvino, Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro. There's more.
Lorraine Bracco.
Yes, Lorraine Bracco. Christopher Imperioli. I screwed up his name. Who later went on to play on The Sopranos.
Yeah, Frank Vincent did too. Frank Vincent.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I'm just looking down through the names on here. Henny Youngman actually showed up in this movie.
Yes.
That's
pretty cool. Wife, please.
Yeah. That's funny.
Dude, we just watched two wonderful movies on their own, and then when you put them in the gangster category,
right,
the mafia movies, these are the two top fucking movies. Godfather, Goodfellas, holy shit, both masterpieces of the genre.
You don't get better. Yeah, especially with
just
Scorsese,
good movies.
Scorsese and what's his name doing these movies? It's incredible. Just as I was flipping through the names on IMDb of the actors and actresses, I came across two names, Tommy's mother and Vinny. I'm not sure who Vinny was. He looks familiar as a character. But Tommy's mother, Joe Pesci's character, Catherine Scorsese.
Oh, was that Martin's mother?
That was probably Martin Scorsese's mom. And then Charles Scorsese played Vinny. Which, of course, I'm trying to think. The Vinny character looks familiar. I just can't place him. So that's very funny. I'm just like, holy smokes. Had no idea. Debbie Mazur. I knew she looked familiar. Could not place her. Yeah. That's crazy, all the people that were in here.
There's a lot. This movie had a hell of a budget. One of the things that when we did The Godfather, we talked a lot about the use of sound.
Yeah.
And while that is in here, I think they predominantly did a lot of directing just with the camera work. Mm-hmm. The long takes, the distorted focus pull that we first see like in Jaws with the stretching out, anything to make you feel uneasy. And it's just, again, you have the story, you have the acting, you have the direction, you have the camera work. All these pieces work so good in these two movies. Joe Pesci, what a loose fucking cannon.
The fact that Henry Hill knew that guy for the better part of his life,
most of his life,
was still terrified of him. Like that guy would kill you just as soon as look at you. It didn't matter who the hell you were.
Tommy was fucking nuts, man.
He was nuts, and they, I guess, Joe Pesci played him so well. Him and the guy that's in Casino, the characters there. I guess he played those two guys so well that the mobsters that knew these guys that were telling him how he acted and this and that, or how the other guy acted, were like scared of Joe Pesci. They were like, that's, you got it. Like they were nervous around the guy. Like, you're too close to what this guy really was like. You know?
Yeah.
Holy crap. Then when they're in the bar, and he's like, why don't you shine my shoes? That guy.
Dude, Billy Batts, a made man, supposed to be untouchable. And he would have been, but the rules did not apply to Tommy. He made his own way.
I think they did.
No, well, they karma finally. He had to pay for that.
Yeah.
He ended up paying for it. Let's back up a little bit here. Folks, if you haven't seen this movie, stop. Go watch Goodfellas. Go watch the other gangster movies that we've already told you about.
All highly recommended.
God, this is the true story of Henry Hill. And it follows his life from a teenager on up until he actually got out of the mob and put into witness protection. Mm-hmm. It is just masterfully done. It's so it's an intense movie. It's a long movie, but it doesn't feel long, and it's just good, man.
2.5 hours,
a little more than 2.5, 2 hours and 40 minutes, something like that. But yeah, Yeah,
It's
but the movie starts with just a young Henry Hill and how he just kind of got a job because that's what you did. He saw his dad working all the time, so he got him a job at the
yeah,
cab stand, which was basically he was running numbers for the mob and just doing errands and stuff, and just worked his way up into somebody that could be trusted until here's a common theme: he started dealing drugs,
yeah. Started dealing drugs.
and it
It
brought
didn't
so
help.
much heat.
It doesn't help that while he was in the middle of dealing drugs, he was taking his own drugs that he was selling, and they just ripped off Lufthansa. Biggest money heist known.
Yep.
And that's everybody just starts getting greedy. You're paranoid because of the drugs, and then you're getting greedy. And then everybody starts whacking
Well,
everybody else.
Jimmy Conway just started just killing everybody.
Oh yeah.
So
I've
it's
read a
like
little bit about that guy. He was cold
he was a
blooded,
scary dude. Yeah.
and he was killing everybody in his path. Anybody
Well,
that could have pointed to him. And you got to figure when these people started dropping, other mobsters had to be looking at him like,
oh yeah.
all right, even ones that weren't involved had to be looking at this guy like, that's that's a guy that's he's scarier than Joe Pesci's character. That's a guy that's going to
Yeah.
have to go. Because
Yeah.
I think the best thing that probably ever happened to him was probably getting arrested. Probably saved his life.
Probably did.
Because I'm sure somebody
Probably
was going to
did.
pop him.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
so what happens is Henry gets into drugs, tries to basically make all his money from drugs, and
Yeah.
it catches up with him. He ends up having to make a deal with the feds and put into witness protection. What is funny about this is he is later, while in witness protection, thrown out of witness protection for trafficking and cocaine. Henry didn't learn. Henry surprisingly was never killed by the mob. And I have actually heard many interviews with him through the years when he was alive on Howard Stern and such,
Yeah.
talking about that very thing, being hidden away and stuff. And just,
Mm-hmm.
he said most of those guys were locked up, the only ones he had to worry about. So,
Yeah. And what eventually most of them are dead.
yeah.
At
Well, they
some
were
point
all,
they're either
yeah.
dead or locked up, and they've
Yeah.
lost so
Paulie
much
died in
power
prison. Yeah.
by the time they get out of prison, they've lost so much of their power that you're basically safe. That's Sammy the Bull was the same way.
Yeah.
He went into witness protection, started breaking the law again. It's like, really?
They don't know any better. I mean,
But
that
now,
is their life.
but now everybody that would have killed Sammy is probably dead by now.
Yeah.
So now he can come, show up and, I thought it was funny when he's doing the introduction. They're rolling the camera through the bar.
Yeah.
And he's introducing, Tommy No Nos, and then it's Mikey Francesi.
Yeah.
And I texted you right away. I was like, Mikey Francesi.
It's funny you texted me. I was reading a little interview with him, and he had gotten out of prison, and he took his girlfriend or his wife to see the movie. And he got up and left when they showed him because he got nervous.
No
that,
shit.
That it was going to bring undue attention. And then he said his wife had asked him, said, "Is this how this was?" And he's like, "Yeah, it was, very portrayed exactly how these guys were." She's like, "That's what you did?" It's like, yeah.
Well, the funny thing is his wife, I think he's still married to the same lady. It got, for him, this is Mikey Francesi. He's got a YouTube channel. I highly recommend if you are into the lore and the history of the mafia and the life, check out this guy's YouTube channel, Michael Francesi. All right, that's what he goes by. But in one of them, he was talking about his wife, and I want to say that he was in all sorts of trouble, and what got him out of it was his wife saying, "You choose the life, or you choose me and the kids, because you can't have both."
Yeah.
And she was she was a very Catholic, going to church and stuff, and she basically told him, "Look, you're going to church now." That's all there is to it. You got to try and get forgiven for your sins. You're going to church now. And he's like, "It's the best thing that ever happened to me." After I got out of prison, I was like, and I'm just sitting there thinking, how much money did that guy still have when he got out of prison?
Oh God.
He could do that.
God.
But I'm never going to ask him that. Even if I ever meet the guy, I'm never going to. I never have the cojones to ask him that. But he does some good work. He's very, very interesting, especially when it comes to being the positive, like a motivational speaker, and he talks about I think he was in the Colombo crime family. I think he was up there.
I think you're correct.
He was way up there. He was almost a Don himself, kind of power. And he said the Colombo crime family, as they all do, but the Colombo crime family was no drugs sold. And some of the guys were selling drugs, of course, because you can't stay out of it for that much money. That
Right.
money, let's say I spend $100, I can turn around and make, $4,000.
Yeah.
Selling it on the street. Guess what? Guess what you're going to do?
Great return.
You're going to sell that. Yeah, exactly. The problem is they all start doing their own drugs. They all start breaking laws, doing things that they wouldn't normally do to make more money, and that's what brings the heat on them. And that's what happened to Henry Hill.
That's exactly what happened.
That fucking girl making the phone call out of the house.
Right after he said, "Don't make it." I've got to talk a minute. All the performances in this movie are phenomenal, but Ray Liotta, holy shit, he commands the screen from the beginning. The casting of the two young kids for him and Tommy was perfect. Holy shit, I thought it was young them, and it was great. But Ray Liotta is just. This was his great role.
Was this his first movie? This wasn't his first movie, was it?
I don't think so. I don't know.
I'm trying to think of when. This is when I think I noticed him for sure. I mean, he's got those
everybody noticed him at that
those
point.
Clear, beautiful blue eyes, and he's just got that look.
He just had the look. Yeah.
He's one of those guys that's so damn good looking. You probably figure he got through high school just because he was so good looking. And he's one of those guys that you look at and you're like, I really don't want to like you, but you're the nicest, friendliest guy in the freaking world.
Well, it's like his wife says in the movie, I knew what he did. It should have scared me, but it excited me. And it's there was something very charismatic about Henry Hill.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But you had to know what he was, what kind of person he was.
Yeah.
So
you can see where a lot of people would look at that life, especially now, look at that life and go, yeah, I could do that. I'm for that.
Yeah.
Like what was it in the line in The Godfather where the one guy's like, I came to America, I believed in America, and the Godfather's like, yeah, but you didn't believe in me, I'm your Godfather, I'm the Godfather kind of thing. You can see where that would be attractive, for lack of a better term. But man, that freaking guy, that Pesci's character, Tommy.
Yes.
What a nut job. What a holy God in heaven. What a nut job that guy was. And he was really he was crazy. I mean, I can't imagine hanging out with that guy.
He'd be a hard person I'd be scared to hang out with him.
Yeah.
And what's great is that scene with Henry and Tommy's telling this story, and Henry's laughing, and Tommy just goes serious.
Yeah.
What, am I a clown? Am I here for your amusement? What? Tell me what's funny.
One of the most epic scenes.
It's so good. And you start to feel the tension that Henry's having. It's like, fuck, Tommy's, and Tommy's crazy. Tommy would just shoot everybody there and not give a shit. So there's some actual fear coming from Henry. And it finds out he's just fucking with him.
And I like how the camera work is going kind of back and forth, and you can still see people in the background.
Yes.
Because everybody in that
they're
bar
all watching.
Around like, shit. I was halfway expecting one guy to just get up and leave. Like, I don't even want to be here when this happens.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was. I'm just fucking with you, and then he whips out his gun. It's like, Jesus, Tom,
she's right.
You've already proven you don't know how to use a gun well.
Oh my God. But that's just it. Liotta to me was just amazing. But then you have Pesci, the supporting cast, all of them were just so damn good. You believed that that Pesci made you believe Tommy was absolutely crazy. De Niro, you knew, was ruthless as hell. It's just the way he carried himself on screen. It's like everything was phenomenal in that. But it's.
Excuse me, sorry, folks.
My favorite scene in the movie is probably not what most people expect, but is the scene where he first takes Karen on a date, and the camera starts behind them on the street.
Yeah. Yeah. Holy
And
crap.
this is a single take from hell. If you watch this, I cannot begin to imagine the hours they poured in just to get this choreographed. This thing goes on. I should have looked up for how many minutes, but it follows the couple through the kitchen. During the time you see the staff moving back and forth, and as they come out in through the restaurant and people moving everywhere, the table gets set up, and it is a phenomenal choreographed, well shot scene. And I really felt for the cameraman and the Steadicam that must have been breaking his back by the time he got through that. So it was really, really cool.
I looked over at the old lady because we were talking initially whenever they're talking about her hiding the gun. He hands her the gun and says, "Hide the gun."
Yeah.
And then that scene comes up, and I looked at Kat and I said, "You know what? What girl? Honestly, what woman wouldn't be attracted to that? Like right away. You walk in, you flash a buck, your table is literally carried to the very front to where the
stage
is at.
She's like, you gave them each $20 or something like that.
Yeah, and the guy, I think it was supposed to be Harry Belafonte on stage. I think one of the singers like popular at the time. So it was like an A-lister at the time. Just walked right up, dropped. I mean, what woman wouldn't be attracted to that?
Stage front, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just you walk in, everybody knows you, everybody's patting you. You know, you're tipping everybody like it's no big deal. And I'm like, fuck, man. From the 70s, this takes place from 1970 to 1981, 82.
Something like that. Yeah.
I could be wrong, but pretty close.
Yeah, early 80s.
Yeah, well, I like the scene where Henry Hill gets a phone call from his girlfriend, and that's
Lorraine.
Lorraine Bracco's the name. Karen, the character's Karen, calls him up, and you don't know really what happened. He goes to the phone booth where she's at, and she tells him, he tried to touch me. She's talking about the guy across the street from her.
Yeah.
And the guy's out there drinking beers with his friend when Ray Liotta's character pulls up. Ray Liotta just looks around. He starts walking up the street, and this guy, fuck this guy. Starts walking at Ray Liotta with a beer in his hand. He's like, what? What are you going to do? Ray Liotta whips out his pistol and just pistol whips the piss out of the guy. I mean,
that is a brutal fucking scene, man.
You know that guy's bones and shit were just shattered.
That's what I was thinking. Is like, oh my God.
And one of those guys like takes a step forward, and he just whips out his gun and aims at the guy, and they're all like, "Oh fuck that," And I looked over at the old lady. I said, "That's the only way you handle a guy like that." Honest to God, I never met a guy in my life that was like, "Oh, he was true. He went over the edge." Every guy I've ever known, ever met, and went, "Yep, that's what you do to a man who fucks with your old lady."
Well, I mean, it's not like he physically assaulted her, and
that's what I mean.
It's like, hey, threw her ass out of a car. Yeah, you're damn right. I'd beat the shit out of him.
Guess what? You're getting your ass beat. Yeah, you're lucky you're still alive.
I didn't think he was gonna be. That was a beating. That was a serious.
He could have killed all three of those fuckers and walked away. Nobody in the neighborhood would have known.
Yeah.
And I wonder if in reality he did kill that guy eventually. I mean,
we'll never know.
Never. Yeah,
Henry's gone.
I wouldn't even know where to look that up at. But yeah, that's a bad pistol whipping. I just looked over at the old lady and said, "Yep, that's what you do."
Yeah.
Sorry.
Again, no CGI, all practical effects. No. This is a violent movie, but it's not horrific. Well, it kind of is, but.
The trunk scene.
Dude, it opens with a seriously brutal as fuck scene with Pesci and a goddamn chef knife. Yeah. Holy cow.
I can remember, I wanted to be a good fella.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a gangster. I wanted to be one of the guys.
It's an epic start with great narration. Ray Liotta makes this movie. It's just beautiful, man.
His narration, his acting. Then you got to throw in everybody else, like you said. You throw
That's
in.
Right. There's no bad person here. They're all great.
De Niro. I'll even throw De Niro in there and say his minimal acting works in this very well.
It was perfect for Jimmy Conway. I didn't see De Niro, and while I think De Niro can be a phenomenal actor, a lot of times you see De Niro, and here no, I saw Jimmy Conway. He scared me. So
yeah, and what's funny is whenever you see Jimmy Conway's character getting scared,
yes,
and you see how he reacts, he starts killing everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of sitting back and trying to be cool, like he's saying he's trying to be cool,
no, he just starts. He loses it. He gets really paranoid. Hell, he was going to kill Karen.
Henry Hill knew. He knew what was going on. Whenever Tommy asks him to go kill, or Jimmy asks him to go kill that guy, he's like,
I won't be coming back from Tampa if I went. So
I went to Florida. I'd never come back.
Yep. Well, I mean,
got the helicopter. He's got that fucking helicopter falling
around. If he hadn't been dealing with the cocaine.
No, it was the narcs that got him, right?
It was. He brought all that heat on because of the drug trafficking. Yeah. It's like they didn't care about the other shit because they were all on the payroll. This one they couldn't ignore.
Yeah, the FBI was all on the payroll. That's for damn sure.
Oh,
like at the end when the cops got the gun to his head, you move one fucking hair, I'll blow your head off. He's like, as soon as I heard all the noise, I knew I was safe. I knew it was a cop.
Yep, because it's like
if it was a wise guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd be
the wise guy would have never heard him coming.
Just be dead. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that
there was.
Oh my God! I'm not getting on the plane without my lucky hat. I'd have punched her in the face.
I wish. I'm sure there's a lot of embellishment in this from Henry Hill. Because this is basically he's the one who told the story. Trying
to make himself look as good as possible too. So
right. So I'm sure there was some liberties taken with it. And I get it. I would too. But I'm sure it's a very close to true story. It's very entertaining. It's just repeats a theme that we see in a lot of gangster movies to stay away from the drugs. Don't use your own supply, Tony Montana. And, so it's continues on. I'm going to give my thoughts on this movie. This is definitely a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Right up when it comes to gangster movies, this sets right up there with The Godfather. You have to see it. And if you don't, taking it out, it's still a great movie in many ways. Cinematography, acting, directing, dialogue. It's great. It's a must watch.
Yeah, the filmography or the filming of this, like you said, is just perfect. That one long shot alone is worth it just to see how Scorsese is a master at putting together a movie.
Yeah.
You know, the man, I've seen him do bad movies. I'm not going to lie. He's done so many movies. He's got a couple little stinkers in there. Nothing that I would ever be like, oh my God, these are horrible. But movies that you're like, you kind of walked through on that one. You know, come on, Scorsese. You kind of walked around on this one. You should have paid more attention. But even then, they're still better movies than most directors, you know?
Yeah.
So with this one, he was on his A game. He was definitely on his A game for this. And no lie, it is a great, great movie.
Absolutely.
Highly recommend. Even for as much of the little things that we gave away, that's nothing. That's
there's a lot more in this movie.
You can't even get into it because it's like what is that Shrek says, a layer. It's an onion. It's layers upon layers.
It is. It's a lot of layers. It's a pretty deep movie. It's entertaining as hell, and it works because every bit of it is perfect. Everything was every person who took part in making this movie were on their A game. I'm talking all the way down to the people pulling cables and lighting things. It was just everything.
Absolutely.
And that's what you get when it's a phenomenal movie. That's one I can watch over and over.
And there's no good guys in it, but you feel empathy. I think you feel empathy for a lot of the people in this movie.
You do.
Like Karen, you definitely feel empathy for Karen, you know, because she's like, I don't know anybody. And then after a while, you're with everybody and it just all seems normal. You know, you're with the same people.
Yeah, she does. There's a neat scene, and this is I'll just say this real quick, where she's meeting with all the other wives.
Yeah,
and she's out at that party, and she's talking about the bad skin and the bad clothes, and how, and you feel bad for all their wives, because the men are just shitheads.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah,
it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the character development, the characters, being based on real people. You can look them up. You can actually look these people up and see what type of people they really were. And none of them were good guys, man. Yep. But you have an empathy.
You do. And
really do.
A lot of that has to do with, again, the acting. When you can make a bad person likable, it's the writing, it's the acting, it's the direction. It allows you to see that while you may not agree with the decisions that these people made to, in their words, survive, and yes, they didn't have to go as far as they did, but you see that they're human, and what they did for family. They did for family. I sound like Vin Diesel
and money.
Family and money, and it's almost like they all knew they would never make it out alive.
Yeah,
but they wanted to do everything they could at the time. So there, don't want to say it's honorable, but it's admirable. So
yeah, I can see that. I see what you're saying. I know what you mean.
Good
movie. I highly recommend it.
Absolutely.
I cannot recommend it enough, to be honest with you.
So after 2 serious movies, we're going to take it into one of the fun spots of the gangster land with Michael Keaton's Johnny Dangerously.
Yes.
My God, I have not seen this in forever. But it's great. It's like a spoof on the gangster movies, and
especially the one that we watched recently.
Yes, definitely. So join us next week for Johnny Dangerously. Catch you then.
Take it easy, folks.